Welcome to the 46th edition of Solution Eliminator Series podcast. I'm here with a champion, the second place champion of world champion of public speaking, Toastmaster Mas Mahathir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for creating now some time in your busy schedule to chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, so I'll start with the idea that came from your speech, the second place speech. The magic of being the first to show kindness. It inspires others to follow. Just like before it rains, it starts with the first raindrop. Raindrop.
Yeah.
Raindrop. That was your second place speech. It was really good. I can't just imagine the kind of impact that it had. How did you come about that gesture, raindrops?
Oh, that's a very good question. So the idea of raindrops came about when I was preparing for a contest last year in 2024. In 2024, I wanted to use raindrops for the finals, but I was not able to proceed to the finals. I made it to the semis, but I couldn't make it to the finals. So how I came about raindrops is when I started to reflect back in my life. I reflected back and I knew that I wanted to share a message that the world needed to hear at that point of time. And I felt that at that point of time, kindness was something that was lacking. So when I reflected, I saw, hey, there was a moment that my parents actually took me to do a lot of volunteer work. You know, my parents were one of those kind of people who stopped the car, asked us to get out of the car just to help people to cross the street. So they would bring me to orphanages, homes, elderly folk, old folks' homes, just to make sure that we play our part to do something good for society. So that brought me back when I was creating this speech. I thought, what is one part of my life where I thought that this raindrop story could really resonate? And that was a story with Ali in the orphanage home. Yeah.
Wow. It's a very powerful story that everybody can relate to. One of the things that is really remarkable about your journey is consistency and resilience. 4 times semi-finalist, 2 times finalist, 3rd place winner 2022, and you broke the record for Malaysia twice. You're hoping to break it the 3rd time, which is going to be the biggest, the golden prize. How does this feel?
It feels amazing. It really does. Actually, to be very honest with you, after winning 2nd place, there were 2 emotions that I was battling between the 2. Number 1 is absolutely relief and pride and success, right? It feels good to be able to place as the top 3 in the world, especially very close to being number 1. But the second feeling was also trying to fight its way there. And that was the feeling of failure, or the feeling of it was so close. And the reason why it felt that way is because my entire district, my entire country was rooting for me. So when I felt that I did not do it for them, it did feel that I was not there. I did not complete the journey for them. But the beauty of Toastmasters and the beauty of people in general, they told me, Mahathir, it's okay. You've done your best. You've made our country proud regardless of what it is. We are proud of you. My wife was also there supporting me. So this in itself gave me that confidence to feel that, yeah, this is what Toastmasters and this is what the community is all about. So I did feel relieved. I did feel a little bit down, but overall at the end, I just felt grateful for the community that we have.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. The community is very powerful. It's so many people are supportive of what you're doing, and they're really proud of you. And I am proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you.
Going back to what happened in 2024, because I was in the room. You were in the semifinals, but didn't get to finals. And Mark Williams and I think Anacha got to the finals.
Yeah.
Because I was in the room. I was in the room. It was a powerful moment. It's a very difficult thing because everyone on that stage is very good. It's just that somebody had to get to the next stage. Did you had opportunity to reflect about what happened that day, and what was your reflection like?
Okay. First of all, I didn't know you were in the room. That was so cool. Yes, I did have a moment of reflection after the speech. Well, the one thing is, I felt that I've done my best at the point that I could during that particular moment, which means that there was nothing else I could do to enhance the speech, enhance my delivery to potentially even out the odds of winning that semifinals. And after the contest was done, when everything was settled, I looked back and I started to wonder, wait a minute. When I look back at this speech, I realized that there was a flaw in my 2024 semifinal speech. There was a critical flaw that I did not see, and the judges were able to spot it out. And I thought to myself, how did I miss this out?
Yeah.
For just to share to all those who are watching, my speech in 2024 was about hitting the brakes, which means that whenever we feel the emotions rising, hit the brakes, pause, and reply in a kinder way, in a nicer way, because you don't want to hurt someone if you don't hit the brakes, right?
Yeah.
So in my speech, when I reflected, I realized, oh my goodness, yeah, when I was talking to my wife, I was yelling at my wife. And then when my mother came into the story, I wanted to yell at my mom. So in this case, I almost unknowingly made the women the villain of my story. Unknowingly. And it was not my intention. So maybe the women judges in the room may have felt that, Mahathir, why are you demeaning women? You know?
Yeah.
So when I look back and I see and I realized, oh my goodness, they were right. It was unintentional, but I know what I need to do now. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for saying that. That's very powerful. And now want me to ask, that means that the content of the speech also matters. The way
Yes.
the speech is delivered, because the judges are humans, by the way. They are not AI. So that means that also gets to decide who wins at that point. So it's a good time to like reflect on the three speeches that came first, second, and third.
Yep.
What do you think these speeches have in common, and what do you think make each one of them unique
So do you mean this year or last year?
this year?
This year. Good question. So this year, Sabyasachi, Alan, and myself, when I look back at the three winners, by the way, all 8 finalists were fantastic. I thought they really brought out their A game, and the results could have gone anyway, right? Depending on the judge's mood of the day, depending who was the judge of that moment, the results could have gone anyway. So I thought that the three who placed in the podium this year, there were what I would call, number one, really strong authenticity. Really, really strong. Especially, let's say, speaker number one, champion speaker, right? Sabyasachi. We can see that the way that he's being really authentic, just being who he is, he's just showing who he really is, right? He did put in his podcast before, he said that he knew that going deep in his story and making people feel those deep emotions wasn't his strength. So he played out those high emotions, those moments that make people laugh. That was what he's focusing on. Same thing for Alan. Alan's strength is in how does he say something that touches people's hearts, and he did that beautifully. And in my speech, I also wanted to bring out that authenticity, which means that I wanted to deliver this message in the way that I would say it, not how in the way I would perform it. And I think that's a big difference here. We are now seeing a trend in Toastmasters that speakers, you don't need to perform anymore, but you need to connect more. I think that would be the most important thing. And to connect, you got to speak authentically.
Wow. Performance and connecting. And connecting comes with being authentic and being vulnerable, showing part of you that people probably don't know, they can see by just looking at you. And guess what?
Yes.
One thing that we humans are very good at is trying to keep that part of us away from people, right? And just making them think this is all who we are. And that's not true. That's not true for any human being.
Absolutely spot on.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go to the beginning. When did you know that public speaking is something that you want to put your energy, your time, and resources in?
Hmm. Well, I started public speaking at a very young age, but not by choice. And I wasn't actively learning public speaking. I was exposed to Toastmasters at the age of 5. So I saw what people were doing and I saw how they were performing, how they were presenting. And at the age of 5, I never knew why I was there. My parents brought me there, but I never knew why. So I hated the experience because I felt that I'm just wasting my time. I could be playing soccer, doing something else, but I'm here watching people speak. So I didn't like that. But there was also another factor that I didn't like. Seeing all those speakers speaking up on stage, I admired them because they could do something that I could not do. I was too afraid of doing. In fact, there was a moment where my parents brought us to a studio where they were doing a short singing session where the kids will go up to sing. And my mom and dad, they'll look at me and say that, go, 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 now it's your time. Go and speak on stage or do something on stage. My 2 sisters went, but I didn't. I hid behind my mom like an ostrich. I didn't want people to see me. And that was a moment that I still remember till today. But here's the thing. When I was 16 years old, there was a moment in my school days where the teacher suddenly said, we are going to host a public speaking assessment where every student in this class must perform and present something. The whole class started shaking. Public speaking, what? Why? Right? But for some reason on that day when I was presenting, I was calm. And I started to wonder, why was I calm while everybody else was panicking? And it was because of those exposure, indirectly learning, I built that confidence a little bit. So officially, I got into public speaking at the age of 23 in 2016. I took a leap of faith to join a corporate training company, and my boss told me, Mahathir, to be a better speaker and trainer, you better join Toastmasters. And that's when I got started.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's very powerful. Our guests, thank you for joining us. And also, people that are online that are joining, please let us know where you're joining us from. Put in a chat which country you're joining us from. If you have any question for our guest, please put in the chat. He's a very friendly and welcoming and approachable person, that I can tell you for sure, because I've met him a couple of times in person. Also, thank you for joining us on Instagram, Shaki Adekune Juri, and a couple of people there. Thank you for joining us. This is really great. All right. So now you decided that you were going to go into public speaking, and you started by joining Toastmasters. One of the things that I want to know is, when you joined Toastmasters, how did your journey into deciding to be part of a contest started? Because before you became that person that won at district level like 11 times, thereabout. I have to quickly say that I don't know anybody that have been in a contest so much and won also so much. I don't know anybody. So that's very impressive. So now you joined Toastmasters. What was the motivation to get into contest and try being on the stage and try to be in a contest? What was the motivation? How did you make that decision?
Thank you so much for the question. So for those who just tuned in as well, I hope that you would take contesting as one of your Toastmasters path as well. Why? Because contesting is one of the greatest way that you can see an accelerated growth in such a short time. So try. The next contest season is starting, so please join. Now back to the question, right? So how did I get started? So when I joined Toastmasters, it was in January at that point of time. And it was just around the corner. In about one meeting later, it was the International Speech and Table Topics Contest. And they were asking for people to join the competition. Now, I volunteered to join. Why? Simply because my personality is, I'm a very competitive person by nature, which means that I love going into competitions. The reason why is because I like to challenge myself to see where I can go. So when I joined, I had a goal in mind. because this club is where my family members were. My sister, my mom, my dad. They were all members of this particular club. So me being a very naive and competitive person, I said that, you know what? I'm going to try my best. I'm going to compete. And the only goal I have in mind is I don't care what placing I get as long as I beat my mom, my sister, my dad. That's all. That was my only goal. And when the results came out, third place, not me. Fine. I was hoping for number one anyway, right? Second place, my sister. Oh, okay, good. I got a chance for number one. First place winner for the table topics contest, my mom.
Oh,
So I completely lost. I lost that contest to all of them. And at that moment, it was very humbling as well. It was humbling because I was relying purely on raw talent, which means I thought I just could do it by myself. But I knew that I needed to, in order for me to get to the next level, that raw talent needed to be put to work. So I needed to put in the hard work to improve my skills. So ever since then, I compete every single year just to sharpen my skills.
wow, powerful. To sharpen the skills, and you were in competition with yourself, not with anybody. That's very powerful. I want to know that the reason why you picked the two speeches that you picked. What's the reasoning behind it? Because you could have used other speeches, right? Why those two speeches that you picked?
Ooh, good question as well. Okay, let's start off with my semi-final speech for this year. The semi-final speech for this year, the title is Pop, Pop, Pop. Essentially, what the speech is about how I learned from an old popcorn seller and what I've learned about how he was selling his popcorn to other people, and how a tiny popcorn, when it pops into something better. From a kernel, we can't really eat it. It pops into popcorn and we enjoy it, right? So the metaphor comes with we need to go through a pressure cooker, the heat, in order to pop into something better. That was the idea of the speech. So this speech was something that I crafted many years ago. So I crafted it many years ago, and I thought that I wanted to revisit this speech because I like the speech. I like the speech because it really showcases something that I truly, truly believe in. And I struggled with this. And I had to do cold calls, right? The speech is all about doing cold calls. And I wanted to inspire the people that no matter what rejection they face, they can pop into something better as long as they stay in that heat. So I love the speech. So I brought it back to present it this year. Now, for Raindrops, on the other hand, I knew I had to give Raindrops in the finals because Raindrops would make more sense if the audience of 1,200 that day snapped their fingers in unison, right? So we created that effect. So, and besides that, Raindrops is also a message that I believe is more universal, which means that everyone would know how to be the first raindrop, to be the first person to be kind for others. And I needed the world to hear that. If 1,100 people could go back to their own country and just do one small act of kindness that day, man, I think we could create a storm.
Good, good. Wow, that's very powerful. I mean, you picked right. The raindrop speech was really powerful, and people snapping their finger in the auditorium was really nice. Was really nice. So now let's flip this question. On the other side of it, have you ever engaged in any prepared speech or any speaking engagement, and you felt that you don't know the audience, you didn't prepare to really know your audience? If you did that, how did you handle the situation?
Oh, wow. That is a tough question. Okay. Personally, for me, I am grateful and thankful that it has never happened. Yeah. Because before going into any presentation, doesn't matter, a keynote, a training session, or even just a general speech, I would always make it a point to ask the organizer or ask the person in charge, who are my audience? Send me a background list of them. Are they senior managers? Are they managers? Are they general public? Who are they? And the reason why is I think we all know, right? As Toastmasters, as members, we got to know who they are. If we don't know, we don't know how to cater a presentation that will suit their needs and suit their wants. they would be thinking, why is this speaker speaking? I feel his energy, I feel his enthusiasm, but I'm not connecting because I don't feel this speech for this particular time in my own personal life. So that's why knowing your audience is so important. But the question now is, if I go into a presentation and I don't know the audience, what would I do? Right? Good question as well. Here's what I would do. I would spend the first 15 to 20 minutes doing some form of ice breaking. Now, the way that I do ice breaking is like this. I would first have a very standardized self-introduction. My introduction whenever I give presentation is always standardized. I've found a way to create that. And I would engage the audience to participate with me to get to know me a little bit better as well during my icebreaker. And I would tell certain stories and whatnot. I would not bombard them with my accolades or my titles or whatnot, but I would share something very personal and vulnerable so that they know I am just as human as them. So that's number one. Once my introduction is over within 5 minutes or so, I would then quickly get to know the audience. Yeah. So that means if there's an opportunity, maybe a few people in the room would just introduce themselves and maybe share something interesting about them so that I get to know what sparks their interest. Once that is done, then we can get started. Yeah. So an ice-breaking session is absolutely crucial.
Thank you for saying that. That's very powerful. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for joining us, Ibrahim. Right? It was given a comment on that, the previous answer. So now you said you always do your best to know your audience. So what are the various techniques and ways you try to know your audience before your speaking engagement? Maybe Toastmasters, outside Toastmasters, or anywhere you go and speak.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, right, you want to get in touch with the organizers. You really want to get to know what is their, if they can send you a participant's name list. Perfect. Beautiful. And quickly after you get this participant's name list, make sure you don't want to just know their names. You want to also know what industry they're from. What industry they're from, what level are they at as well. For example, they may be in the IT industry and the level could be a C-suite. CEO, CFO, COO, right? Or they could be manager, upper manager, middle managers, or they could be executive levels. Once you identify this, you want to see who is the majority or what's the majority in this group. Are they more in the 30 to 40 group, 30, 40 years old, 50 to 60 years old, 20 to 30 years old? If you have a majority of that group, then of course you want to cater the style of speaking to that audience. If it's a younger group, feel free to throw in Gen Z, Gen Alpha jokes or slangs to really try to connect with them. You know, sometimes they may find it funny if you try to use their words. So you can do that because when you try to be with them and try to be like them, they feel the connection there as well. But don't try too hard. Just have fun with it anyway. And if it's 40 to 50 and above, you know, speak in a professional way, speak in a way that really resonates with them. Yeah. So look at their names, look at the industry they're at, look at the level, and then try to sum up. Can you see what are their age group? How are they like? Then you'll be able to cater your speaking style to them.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. That's very helpful. Something that we all need to think about. Now, still on the topic of the World Championship of Public Speaking, we can all agree that to be able to go this far and achieve what you've achieved, second place, third place, final, semi-finalist, you have to practice. You have to practice your speech. So outside practicing the speeches, what do you think can be done to be able to work hard and also achieve something for the good result? What other factors can contribute to coming first place, second place, or third place?
Nice. So what other factors come into play? I can think of a couple, and I think this is very, very important. For those who plan to compete and plan to go as far as you could, this I think will be very useful for you. Now, when you start to realize all of these world champions, world finalists, world podium finishers, semi-finalists, and beyond, if you were to ask them what made you get there, no one, I don't think anyone will tell you, oh, I got here by luck. You know, I was randomly put into a competition and also happened at one club, so happened at one area, so happened at this. No, not likely, right? The ones who actually make it all the way to the top are usually the ones who want it enough. Yeah, they need to have that drive, that fire, that fuel to say, yes, this is something that I'm going to pursue. Only then you'll be able to overcome any obstacle, any challenges that comes your way. So that's number one. You got to find that fire, that fuel to get there. Now, once you have the fuel, the vehicle's running, you're driving on the journey, every contest round, every pit stop, you get up there. There is also another element that comes into play, because suddenly you realize after district, you are now no longer speaking to a local level, you are speaking to an international level. Now, some districts you already have to speak to a somewhat international level. So this is where the challenge starts to come in. You got to cater your presentation to no longer the locals, right? The locals need to understand. You got to cater in a way that the international audience understands, especially in the district, because the moment you win district, that video will be used for the quarterfinals where the world needs to see. So here's what I would recommend, and it would really take you to another level. Since we live in a digital era, you're not limited to practice your speeches in your local clubs alone. Go out to an international club, book yourself with different countries, test your speech there. When you do so, you get international feedback, international reactions to know whether your speeches work or not. When I got the results for the semifinals this year, I booked myself for 30 clubs. I went to 30 clubs in 30 days just to make sure that I get international audience feedback to sharpen the speech. And had I not done that, I don't think Raindrops would have ever reached its level as it is today.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful. Going out, getting feedback from different audiences, that's really good. And that's something we all need to think about. Still around the topic of preparation, factors that can influence the result of the competition besides practicing. The speaking order. Do you think the speaking order of the contest can have any influence on the outcome? And for you, what level of the speaking order are you always open for? Do you have a preference?
I mean, everybody has a preference, right, for the speaking order. We all like to be in the later numbers. We don't like to be in the earlier numbers. But I come to realize that really a speaking order to me now, after this competition, I start to realize it doesn't matter anymore. Because we start to realize that many speakers or world champions who have won, you see some people winning at first speaker, some people winning at second speaker, third speaker, and so on. And it doesn't determine now what speaking order you are. The most misconception is because the first speaker needs to set the mood, really set the stage so that the audience are ready to go. And the last speaker is the one that people remembers the most. But here's the fact of the matter. In today's day and age, people's attention span is getting lesser and lesser. By the time they get to speaker number 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, they're going to be tired. They're going to be fatigued listening to a speaker, right? So if people wishing, I wish I'm the last speaker, I wish I'm the last speaker, it may not come to your favor in today's day and age. Yeah. So mostly for me, I like to be in the center. I like to be in the middle. But if any numbers come to me, I think I would just take it and just give it my best and trust that the judges know how to mark evenly.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's fair. We cannot always control because those are actually picked randomly anyway. So it's better to be open-minded to any position. So for you, just before you get on stage, for the semifinals, finals this year, 2024, 2022, are there things that you usually do before going on stage? And is there something that you've done of change over the years based on building confidence before you go on stage? Anything that you used to do or used to do now that really worked for you?
Yes, that in fact that most of the time when we go up to present on stage, what I notice about many new speakers, especially those who are trying to find their place in the speaking world, what I notice is that when they go on stage, they have this mindset to think that what if I mess up? What if I'm not good enough? What if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with the audience? Will I remember my speech good enough, or will I be able to go through the entire speech with emotions properly? So it's a lot about what if I, and I face this problem as well. And what I come to realize is when I do this and when I keep focusing on the mindset of what if I make mistakes or what if I do this wrong, it's almost like taking the spotlight on stage and flashing it directly at my eyes, highlighting to the audience, hey guys, these are my flaws. Please take a look, right? That's the problem. But what speakers really need to do is to shift that spotlight to the audience, almost becoming like a lighthouse, right? And the reason why we want to shift it to the audience because the main star of the show is not you, the speaker. The main star of the show is you, the audience, because they are all there to gain something from you. They're not there to be impressed by you. So with this new mindset, I started to shift in the way that I prepare before going up on stage. What I normally do now is I recite a few sayings or a few phrases in a way of redirecting my focus to my purpose. So I would say things like this: Mahathir, you are here not to impress, you are here to send a message that matters. You are a messenger. Remember that. Yeah, so I will always remind myself, you are a messenger, you are a messenger, your message matters. Someone in the audience is here and they need to hear this message. And when I go up on stage, I'm no longer with the mindset of taking the audience's attention. I'm in the mindset of giving the audience something that matters to them. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Giving the audience something that really matters to them. That's very important. Thank you for joining us online. If you have questions for our guests, please put in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. If you have any comments, something that you agree with or you disagree with, please let us know. We'd love to hear your opinion also. Yeah. One of the things that I read about you is the fact that a good part of this is representing Malaysia, because you think Malaysia deserves more, like to be recognized on the world stage and things like that. And you've done that twice for Malaysia. Third place, second place. And we're hoping that you'll do that the third time by being the first place winner soon. Fingers crossed. There's something I want to say. I personally have a math teacher during high school, and he was from Malaysia. So, and it's one of the teachers that I will always remember that made me love mathematics. So just want to make sure I say that so that you know that Malaysians have been recognized. I personally have recognized them at some point in my life. So I just make sure I say that. But then still around that, if public speaking is not taken as seriously as it should in Malaysia, what are the occupations? What are the expectations? What are the kind of career that people actually do in replacement to public speaking? What is common? What is the business? What is that? What are the main things that people do there? We'd love to know that.
Okay, the beautiful thing about Malaysia is so diverse, right? It's a country where we are so diverse with many cultures, many experiences, many things as well. So if public speaking is something that Malaysia doesn't really focus on, we will focus on many other aspects. And one of those key things that we will focus on is sports. Yeah, we are really into our sports and a very specific type of sports, badminton. Yeah. So Malaysia, we are very competitive in that sense. But not only that, because in other sports as well, Malaysia has been trying to prove themselves, and some have already proven themselves. We have bowling champions, we have a few Paralympic badminton winners, etc., which I'm very very proud of them as well. So I'm hoping one day that to be among those amazing people who have set the path to want to win in a sport event. I'm hoping one day that at least in a public speaking event, I would be able to walk that path with them to bring pride to my country.
Wow. To bring pride to your country. That means that the environment factor is very important. So if you want to look back to your childhood, high school, middle school, college days now, that means that environment played a lot of influence in what you're doing and who you have become. Are there any particular incidents or events that you want to share with us as to what you would say it shaped who you have become now as a public speaker and also as a person?
Yeah. The moment you said that, there's only one moment that really brought me back into this story. You see, when I was young, and I remember mentioning just now that I really hated doing public speaking. So in one of those Toastmasters events, after I froze on stage, I froze giving a table topic speech. I was very young, probably about 7 at that time. And once that was done, people started clapping their hands as a form of encouragement. I thought, well, sure, yeah, it feels good, right, to get people to clap, even though I didn't say anything. But right after that, when we were going for a tea break, everybody was relaxing a little bit. There was this one gentleman who came up to me. He came down to my level. He said, Mahathir, he said, it really doesn't matter what you say. The moment you step up on stage, it was already a win for you. It's something that builds your confidence. The next time you stand on stage again, just say something. Just say anything. And we'll work from there on out. That was the turning point in my life because I didn't realize that I could speak on stage. And this person unlocked that in me. So the next meeting came, I volunteered to be a table topic speaker. And I remember this time I spoke, although it did not make sense at all, but I spoke. So that really gave me that confidence. So the lesson that I'm trying to share here is this. There will be important people in your life who will unlock something in you. And if there isn't, why don't you unlock it in someone else by being a mentor in Toastmasters or beyond?
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Very short and to the point. One of the good things in Toastmasters, you know, is the fact that you always get the applause, the clapping, even if you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So I think people don't really know how much of that can build confidence because in the real world, people just want to beat you up, really.
Yes.
They just want to beat you up. But in that environment, you can get away with building yourself and things like that, and you get better over time. That's the business model for Toastmasters. That we can all agree to that. In speaking, I've seen people say dressing is very important. What are your thoughts on dressing? And while you're thinking about that, I also noticed that you like wearing red suit. You wore red suits with the first place winner, and I didn't know whether you guys planned that or something. So, what was red the winning color for the day or something? So what are your advice on dressing?
Okay, when it comes to dressing, first and foremost, the reason why I wore red, and I wore it consistently, which means that for the very first time I made it to the semi-finals, it was in 2020. I had my red suit ready. So I wore my red suit ever since then. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because it's two reasons. Number one, I love red. I love red, which means to say that my company logo is red, my car is red, my shirts, a lot of them are red. I just love that color, right? So when I went for a personal branding image back in 2019, I saw this red colored suit and my branding consultant said, yeah, you better get that suit. So I got it. And yeah, so I wore it consistently ever since my first appearance in the semifinals because I wanted to be a little bit different. Meaning to say, every past semi-finalist or finalist, you will see them dressing a little bit different. They'll come in different suits, different colors, different tie, whatever not, right? Which makes things more fresh, more interesting. I wanted to break that stereotype. I want to say, you know what? I wanted to be the same looking guy every time I appear on stage. So I will wear the same bow tie, the same jacket, the same shirt every time I make that appearance. And I just want to see what is the audience's reaction. That's it. No other reasons beside that. And besides, I did not plan with the world champion, Sabyasachi, at all. In fact, he came to me, he said that, Mahathir, When I saw you wearing red in the semifinals, I prayed you didn't wear red for the finals. He said that, but bam, here we are, two of us wearing red.
Wow, wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for joining us online on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Please tell us where you're joining us from. If you have question for our world champion, please put in the chat. Why not? We might as well just get the answer to your question while we're here. Then thank you for joining us again on Instagram, Afrograms. Kunle, thank you for joining. And Labime, thank you for joining also. We really appreciate you being here. If you're here, please put in the chat where you're joining us from. And if you have question, let us know the question that you have. In 2016, you said you started your public speaking journey in 2016. I just wonder, based on your observation then and now, how would you say public speaking have changed over the years? And what change are you thinking might happen based on the current trend in technology, in competition, in your experience as a speaking coach on YouTube and things like that?
I think public speaking has changed a lot in the past years. Yeah, in older years, in the past, when we start a presentation, the best or the most what we call best practice and fundamental way of beginning is to always start with who you are, right? Your years of experience, your expertise, why the audience should listen to you. That was the key focus in the past, because the saying goes, you want to establish authority so that the audience feel you are worth listening to. But the game has shifted. No longer we care about who you are anymore, because the who you are can be read way before you even introduce yourself. There's a information brochure or whatever not, we will know who you are, right? But the thing is this, in today's age, whatever public speaking or speeches that you give now, the audience don't want to know your so-called credibility anymore. They want to know why what you say will matter to them, how what you share will add value to their day-to-day lives. So that means at the start of your speech, the audience already have to know a few things. Number one, why should I care as a listener? So I don't care about your introduction anymore. I want to care about why should I listen to you. Number two, can you pique my interest enough so that I will continue listening to what you have to say? So yeah, we have changed in the dynamics of how we speak. And the other thing that shifted as well is the use of storytelling. We like to share data, facts, numbers, statistics, and whatnot to back up our claims. Fine, it works, and I think it should be maintained as well. But in the past, we focus heavily on this aspect. In today's age, to inspire someone to make a change, you don't what we call as motivational vomit. We call it motivational vomit, right? You don't show it out to them, right? You should do this. You should get better because you need to get better. We can't do that anymore. And we can't throw in all the data and statistics to say that this is the statistics, that's why you can do better. In today's age, storytelling plays a crucial role, because when you tell stories, the brain of the audience is putting themselves in your situation. What would I be in his shoes or in her shoes? So telling a story will ignite that inspiration from them rather than you telling them what to do. Yeah. So these are the few key changes.
Wow, that's very powerful. That's very powerful. Now you have to think about that when you're putting together speeches, going to speaking engagement and things like that. One of the things that I've observed that you do on YouTube and social media, because I've been following your work and things like that, you try to analyze people's speeches, right? What they've given speech and the speech that they've delivered already. And I saw the one that you did with the past world championship of public speaking, Verity Price, as an example. So my question is, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from doing that, analyzing other people's speech?
Analyzing people's speeches is a very, very important way to improve yourself as a speaker, as a as a person giving feedback, as an evaluator, and many more. It trains your critical thinking skills and it trains your mastery in that industry and field. Let's say, for example, if you are a badminton player and you want to improve your badminton skills, right? Of course, watch back past videos and analyze those videos. Why this winning shot works as a bowler, why this bowling technique works, and then you analyze it and you critique it. So the same thing goes for public speaking as well. If you really want to get better, you need to watch all these winners or all other speeches as well, not just the winners, right? Of course, winners, you want to see what made them win, but also other speeches because you want to see how the general speeches are like. And when you really go deep and analyze and critique every line, every gesture, every voice tonality, you will start to see that, whoa, I noticed that when they did this, I reacted this way. I felt something. Why? And if you have that curious mind to ask why and critique that, you will learn how to apply it back to yourself. So yeah, take analysis or analyzing as a really fun sport to improve your own skills. So if you want to work on being a better coder, can you analyze another coder from a YouTube channel? If you want to be a better chef, can you critique another chef and learn from that as well? Yeah, the journey, the process here is you're not trying to condemn or critique these people saying that they're not good. Your purpose here is to learn and to share your learnings.
Wow, yeah, that's very helpful. Then it makes other people look at the both sides, the pros and cons, and what they can use for themselves and things like that. That's very helpful. Going back to your background, you studied psychology, and you said you realized that communication was very central to understanding people. Why do you think communication is very important to understanding people?
Well, because if you don't communicate, you will never know, right? What other people are thinking or feeling, right? And communication comes in two ways. There is the verbal, there is the non-verbal. So I studied psychology, and psychology has taught me many things about the human mind, the human behaviors, what are their motivations, their needs and wants and goals, right? And all of these are important, but we will never be able to really understand them. And if we're not able to understand them, we're not able to inspire them. We're not able to connect with them. We're not able to transform them, right? As speakers, you want to transform people, right? So by communicating, you are understanding really what is something that ticks this person, what is something that lifts this person. And if you know how to speak in that manner, wow, that will be very powerful.
Wow, that's very powerful. We have a question here. Thank you for joining us, Keith, from Maryland. We still met when the same competition together a few weeks ago. Thank you for joining. And his question is: any advice on staying persistent, even with setbacks during the speaking competition? How do you stay motivated? Because you've been doing this going again and again, right? And you won a lot of times. What people want to know: do you eat something? Do you drink something? Do you smoke something? What's how do you
Wow. Thank you so much for the question, Keith. And I think it's so relevant for those who are competing. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, there will be roadblocks, there will always be there. And sometimes the roadblocks come in a form of a person. Yeah. And this person has been district champion many times. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, we're only in the area level and I have to face this guy. Well, many setbacks, right? I would love to say that there's a magical food or pill or drink that helps me to overcome setbacks. Unfortunately, there are none. There really is none. But the key thing that kept me going, despite the setbacks that comes my way, is a few key areas. Number one, I mentioned this earlier in the podcast as well, which is your why. Your why has to be so strong that despite all these setbacks, you keep going. I'll give you an example. When I started out competing, I lost in the area level and I thought, my goodness, this is a really tough competition. And in fact, there were people coming up to me after the competition saying this: Mahathir, your speech, somebody else in another area is 10 times better than you. Wow, my gosh, I felt really, why are you telling me this, right? Or another speaker, when I did my test speech as a form of practice, he came up to me, he said, Mahathir, I hope you're not going to use this speech in your contest because it's really bad. So those kind of moments I consider as setbacks, moments of demotivation and whatever not. But I remembered my why. I wanted to be on the world stage. I even have a vision board to say that, hey, I'm going to be there one day. And I created this with my wife. So a big chunk of that vision board is just me in that world stage. So that why kept me going. And every year after that, whether I lost or I won or lose at a higher level, I just kept going, right? But the next factor here is this. The next factor is, in order for us to stay motivated, you have to also take yourself outside of the speech. This is something that I've learned from uh, Verity Price, the world champion of public speaking in 2021. In 2024, last year, about 2 to 3 weeks before the semi-finals contest, I was down with influenza. And for about more than 10 days, I wanted to practice my speeches, but for more than 10 days, I was out from the speech, really, really out. I could not think, I could not focus. So I went back to Verity. I told her, I said, hey, I felt that I missed out. These 10 days, I could have done something, but I'm just out. But she said this, Mahathir, sometimes you need to step away from your speech and do something that helps the soul. Very powerful, very deep. And I thought, in this case, right, yes, if I do something that helps the soul, it could be as simple as going out for a walk, doing something else that takes my mind off it. Because if we are too into the speech, sometimes we feel that this is our entire world. And if there are cracks in our entire world, we feel the pain, we feel the pinch. But if we take a moment to just step out of it for a while, do something that helps us. You want to go bungee jumping? Go bungee jumping, right? You want to go play bumper car? Play bumper cars. You want to go eat something at Taco Bell? Go, enjoy it. So doing something for the soul helped me to stay motivated as well. Because if not, I can guarantee you, I feel that losing this year, even losing at number 2, I won't want to compete again next year. Yeah. But because I knew that, okay, I still know what my goal is. And now I'm taking a break for 1 year. I'm not competing in the next contest season because I'm going to do something that helps my mind and helps my soul. And I'll come back with a speech that I truly resonate with. I hope that answers your question.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. So it's very strategic saying that you're going to wait for 1 year, right? Can you shed a little bit more light on that? Would you recommend that for other people, or it's just something that is for you?
Okay, because different people works differently. I know another finalist, which is Nisha Shivram, world number 2 as well in 2023. I had the pleasure of competing with her in 2022. We shared the same final stage. And Nisha is someone I really admire as well because she compete every single year. Every single year she competes, she puts in the work, she crafted her speeches, 2 speeches to compete in the world stage and all that. And I really admire that. Some people like her can do it. And if you can, go for it. Now, for me, it doesn't work that way because I feel that when I join a contest, I need to join a contest with a full heart. A full heart meaning to say that this speech is something that I truly, truly feel for and truly, truly are passionate in. If I don't have that speech, I'm not competing for the sake of competing. Yeah, so that's my thought. So if you feel that you need to compete every year to sharpen the saw and you feel that, yes, we should go for it, it doesn't matter what it is, then go. Then I think that is more suitable for you. But if you're like me and you feel that, no, now I come to a stage where the speeches I want to give, I need to feel it wholeheartedly, then take a year off. Take 2 years off if you need to, and come back with the speech that you really want to give.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, that's something to think about. That's very powerful. We have another question here. The questions are coming in very fast. I'm just letting you know. Ibrahim saying, how does transforming others improve your own skills?
Ooh, thank you so much, Ibrahim. Love this question. And I get this question quite a lot because a lot of people always ask, right? If you want to help others improve, how does that actually help you improve as well? Here's the beauty of it. When you are actually analyzing a speech and critically understanding how the inner workings of another presenters are like, and you give your observation, you are also learning in that process. I always tell people this: you can learn by learning, but you can also learn by teaching. These are two methods that you can actually maximize your learning potential. Let's say, for example, you learn how to code, right? You learn from somebody on how to code, but you will also learn how to code better if you were to teach others how to code. Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's the beauty: make sure that when you are learning from other people, you get all those knowledge, you learn all those things. Try to teach it in a way that's simple enough. Try to analyze and then give feedback so that people understand it easily. Because the easier they understand, the easier you understand, the easier you can also apply it back to yourself. Yeah, don't overcomplicate it, make it simple. I hope that answers your question, Ibrahim.
Good, good. Simplicity in communication. They understand it, their reaction can also motivate you, and then you can give more because you're becoming better through the process. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for your question, Brian, and thank you for our guest for answering that. That's really powerful. Then we have another question from Sunita. Thank you for joining us, Sunita. As we are nearing the contest season, what are the tips and tricks that can be implemented to deliver a good, powerful speech from the club level? Because some of the tough competition starts from the club, right? Because if the club is really, so yeah, I think that's why she's asking that question.
Wow, good question, Sunita. Okay, I know of a few clubs where the moment you enter the club, you are fighting against 2 or 3 district level winners. Oh my gosh, this is just a club level. Why are we fighting people of many levels higher, right? But that's the truth. That's what it is, and that's what happens. That the simple answer is go find another club to compete. That's the simplest answer. But I don't encourage that. I don't encourage that. What I do encourage is this: when I craft my speeches, I craft my speeches well in advance. Even before the club contest, my speech has already been crafted at least a year in advance. Yeah, a year in advance. And the reason why this is so important for me is because I love this phrase: great speeches are not written, they are rewritten. What does this mean, right? It means that the more time you spend writing that speech and rewriting that speech, the more your speech is going to sparkle and shine, just like wine. The longer you let it sit, the tastier it gets. So, if you have the advantage of working on your speech well in advance, you have already edged many competitors in the early rounds, where some competitors may come into the contest and say, hey, I just created this speech 1 week before. There are some I know, no, I just thought about my speech as I was driving to the contest. What? So you can see, right? There are many levels of people doing their preparation in the contest. But if you had 1 month in advance, 6 months in advance, 1 year in advance, can you imagine how powerful your speech could be just at the club level? That would make a difference.
Wow, that's very powerful. That's why it's very important to practice ahead of time, just like you said, and that's really good. I still have a couple of questions. We're wrapping up. I promise you. Still gonna go a couple of minutes ahead. If you still have your question, please put it in the chat. And thank you for joining us. We'll still have some time to answer the question. One of the things that I really observe about you is your engagement on social media. And I would love to learn, and I probably want other people to know, what is the process of creating these engaging videos you have on the YouTube and other social media? And how do you determine, first, how do you determine the message you want to pass across? And what's the process of creating the engaging videos, especially on YouTube?
Okay, so I see YouTube or videos posted online. When it comes to videos posted online, I do have a few frameworks to work around. Now, I'm not an expert in this. I'm still learning in this process as well. But I do find that there are a few frameworks that works, right? One of those key ideas is, some people say you have to search on creator insights, which means you go on YouTube, go on TikTok, you go and search what are some things that people are actually looking for and searching for. And with this analysis, find out videos that actually works and try to replicate them into your own style. These are one ways to do it. But my method of doing a speech or rather a video is 2 ways. Number one, is either I want to educate or entertain in the video, or number two, I wanted to share a personal, vulnerable story, something that really showcases who I was, who I am, and also what are my hopes and dreams, etc. Why? Because storytelling doesn't just work on speeches or in speeches. Storytelling also works in videos. If you notice nowadays, the greatest videos that gets a lot of views tell their stories in a very engaging manner, right? They will tell, well, when I was this age, this happened, and then you tell the story, whatever not, etc. So being authentic and being real and sharing a very personal story can also get you views. So I'm looking at two approaches. One is to educate, maybe in terms of Toastmasters, the speeches, storytelling, and whatnot. And the other is to tell a story and something very personal, something vulnerable, hopefully, and hopefully it connects with your audience.
Wow, thank you. That's very powerful. That's very powerful. So if you're not doing public speaking, if you for whatever reason you don't have a Toastmasters family like you have, which I really envy. Everybody's a Toastmaster. If you don't have that going on, what would you be doing? What do you think you'll be doing now?
Whoa, what do I think? Wow, I think my life would have taken a very different turn. It is because of Toastmasters I found the confidence to speak. And because of that confidence to speak, I started a business to teach people in terms of public speaking and whatnot. Had I not joined Toastmasters, this trajectory will not happen. I don't think it would. Maybe a different timeline, a multiverse where Mahathir didn't actually join Toastmasters exists. I don't know, right? But if I were to really think deeper, I did have passion for music, which means that back in my university days, I would actually join bands. I would perform in front of people and play the piano, right? So when I actually graduated from university, I actually asked my dad a question. I asked him, Dad, right now I'm looking for a job. Do you think I should, number one, should I buy a piano? Maybe I borrow some money from you first. I buy a piano and I go around teaching people how to play piano. Or
Yeah.
number two, should I become a trainer and a speaker? Yeah. And because the reason why I wanted to be a trainer or speaker is because, well, I saw how trainers and speakers earn lots of good money, right? And at the
Yep.
same time, my dad has someone he knows and he introduced to me about training and speaking. And without skipping a beat, my dad says, be a trainer. Yeah, if the music one, play it as a hobby. And that's how the trajectory path continued. And when I got into that training business, that's where I mentioned earlier, right? My boss in that company says, join Toastmasters. Yeah. So had that all not been there, I may have been a musician. Maybe you start seeing my YouTube video more on piano rather than
Yep.
speaking. Who knows?
Wow. So we're not gonna get a single or an album from you at any point?
Oh, no.
All right. So yeah, we're wrapping up. Last question. Technically, this question I usually try to ask a question that has nothing to do with public speaking, and this is yours. I think most people have a celebrity lookalike, and for you, you have this face of you being a celebrity already, and public speaker. But before you being this celebrity that we all know, being a world champion of public speaking, who would you say people compare you to in terms of a celebrity? Who do you look like, maybe in Malaysia or anywhere that's popular?
Who do I look like? Oh gosh, this is such a difficult question. I guess if I were to play with the stereotype, since I have a very Chinese looking face, so any Chinese actors, maybe Jackie Chan when he was younger.
Yep. I can see that. Good. I used to watch a lot of Jackie Chan movies too, growing up.
Yeah, I love it. I love them.
That's right, Malaysians. My math teacher was Malaysian, just like I said, and he was the first math teacher that I had that made me like math, and like I can really understand this, and probably the only math teacher actually. So yeah, I will never forget him like that. So thank you. We're really a little bit ahead. This is gonna be the ending of our session today. Is there anything you want to say to our guests? Anything that you do? How can they reach out to you? How can they be part of anything that you do?
Thank you so much, Dr. Tolu, for this session as well. And to reach out to me is very simple. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Mas Mahathir Mohamad. You'll be able to find me. I only specialize in helping people to find their voice, speak up, into the public speaking presentation and whatnot. But that aside, if you just want to have a regular chat with me, I'm more than happy to just have a chat with you as well. Because I think sharing, just like what we did today, is such a joy for me because I feel good giving back to the community as well. So yeah.
Good. Yes, we just created some raindrops.
Woo!
Right. A very, very useful and very practical session today. Thank you for being here, Mas Mahathir. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And we're going to see you again in the future when you become the world champion. That's my hope and prayer for you, so you can put Malaysia on the map again, the third time this time. All right. That's my hope and for you. All right. Thank you for joining and really appreciate your knowledge and experience in this.